Alright, so the race should be starting up any second here.
The first thing we see here are them changing their speeds for battle and message, so they can go fast with making sure that they get the messages through, but they can react quickly enough with the enemy's battle speed. So
Basically, we're changing down the battle speed to 6. Even though it's classified as slow, it's actually faster for us because of the fact of how this game works. The turn order is a little bit different. Like, we want to get as many turns as we can possible, and the way to do that is we change the battle speed down to slow because it gives the enemies less turns. We're also going to see the runners take a step to the right here and walk past a certain spot here. There's a trigger tile that's right there that would bring in another encounter that we don't want to have.
unlike the previous encounter they had, this counter is classified unrunnable due to Lobo being on the field. As soon as that's done, they are free to run with Vix and Wedge. As with the previous fight, the mammoths actually have a no run flag on them. So as soon as they're disposed of, they can bioblast with Terra and have the other two characters run away.
Yeah, the main reason why we're using Bioblast here is because the animation time is longer, allowing the other two characters to have enough time to run away.
This is also because they are trying to get enough experience for Terra in order to reach level 5, so she can do the quick kill on Welk, which is coming up here in a few moments. Both runners with getting a attack, but that's not the worst thing in the world.
So with seeing both these runners run into an encounter there, we know neither of them set up their seed before starting this race here. Because when you set up your seed, you won't have any encounters in the entire Narshe cave here. Alright, so both runners are coming up on Welk here, and how we deal with Welk is that we're going to have Terra be using her Tech Missile ability through her armor here, and we're going to be weight tricking. What weight tricking is when we have the when animations are going off, we want to make sure that we're in a menu, because then the enemy's ATB, and I don't think I think everyone's ATB doesn't move forward.
I believe that is correct. This is also a chance for us to stop the shell's ATB in order to cast Gigavolt on the group, so the quick kill can commence and Welk could not go into its shell.
Yeah, the reason why we attack the shell there is because it resets the ATB for the fight, basically.
Now, something else that we should mention here, with battling and conversations, we do not have to press A. We can just hold A, and it will just move through it automatically and quickly. Because we've seen this used later on many other times throughout the run.
Yeah, there's one point to note that it kind of looks like it's a battle, but you still can't hold it through. You actually have to mash through it one point where it looks like a battle. And that's coming up right away here as well. So on XCodes side, we see that we're going to be renaming all the characters except for Shadow. We're going to be renaming them all to a single letter. And the reason why we're doing that is because of how text scrolls in this game. It scrolls like character by character. So the less characters it has to scroll through, the more time you can save over the course of the run.
The reason we don't rename Shadow is because he barely has any text boxes with his name in it.
I think he has, like, 3 in this run or something like that. It's not very many, and so removing his name down to S or SH or anything like that, it just isn't worth the time to remove it to the time that you would maybe save, which, so... I don't know the exact amount of time that the renaming the character saves, but it saves a couple letters throughout the course of the entire run, and throughout the course of the entire game as well, for the longer categories.
Now, as you can see here with XCode, we are moving through the caves, and he is deciding to fight several encounters. This is to make sure Terra is at level 6, but also we'll make sure Locke is at level 7 with level averages.
So I'm guessing XCode's already got his level by the looks of things, since he isn't fighting any more encounters. And now we're going on to the next section of the run on XCode's side, where we're going to get to meet some of the other characters in the run that we're going to have. Yeah, so Gramora's having to farm for another encounter here. Next encounter should get him his level.
And he's set. So, upcoming here, we will meet our second character.
So we're going through a bunch of flashbacks, basically, of back when Terra was put under a slave, under the control here, and just little things she's remembering. And we get introduced to the main villain of the game, Kefka, in this cutscene.
And in the XCode side, we can now see Locke, the thief. Wait, I mean treasure hunt, don't I?
So every character in this game has a special class to them. So like Terra can turn into an Esper later on. Locke and Steel, and there's gonna be a few other characters who have different little fun things that we're gonna get to play around with them.
Now, this battle coming up is a 3-party battle. This is a mechanic that isn't just used in this part of the game, it's used several times over. And it's meant to make sure you get to an objective without much hassle. But in this game, we use only one party, which is Mog's party, to get to the main boss and do a couple little tricks that involve his equipment.
Yeah, sorry guys, Gramora's timer is weirdly positioned with his game right now, where his timer is over too far, so we only get the 5 digits of his, where we'll get 6 of XCodes. Terribly sorry about that, guys. So, one thing we're going to be doing in this fight is we're going to be taking some items off Mog. We take the Mithril Pike off of him to equip on one of the characters we're going to get later on. And we can also choose to take off that shield as well. So there are actually ways to sneak past these wolves a little bit properly, and Gramora just I think he walked a little bit too late there by the looks of things.
It looks like he walked too late.
But basically, for these fights, if you get into them, you just have to hold A, but it is a time loss when you get into them.
Ooh, and Gamora's Cuckoo got stopped. At least it's not Mog. Basically, stop in this battle will cost you at least 2 to 3 rounds of actions, but it's not the end of the world.
So yeah, guys, just keep in mind that for the timers on this stream right now, that the one in front of XCodes is also in front of Gramora, it's just we can't see it, so... So, with the steps in this game, there are actually some tiles on the world map that actually don't increase your step counter at all. And with being on step route, we actually utilize all these spaces, and even when you aren't, you want to try to utilize them just because of the fact that they will cut you back some encounters throughout the run.
Now, we're coming up to a portion of the game which is text heavy and mash button heavy as well, as well as movement heavy. We're about to meet our 3rd party member, The King of Figaro, King E, or Edgar.
Yes, we are going to learn about another character as well during all of this section here, which we'll be getting later on, which is Sabin. And we wanted Edgar because Edgar's going to be basically the main damage of our entire party for the rest of the run, for the most part. So in the castle, we leave it out the right side here to go talk to the lady in front of this curtain here, and she tells us about King Edgar's brother that he has.
With talking to the matron complete, we pretty much head back to the throne room and trigger the next event. One of the bigger events in the run as well. So, we are now introduced to our main villain of this run, Kefka. He is just on a routine trip from the Empire to check in on Edgar.
So the estimated runtime for this run is actually, it's approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on runner's skill.
Also, during this conversation, there is a chance that if you do it framed perfectly, you can have both soldiers looking at each other while you initiate the cutscene with Kefka there. It's pretty hard to do, but it's feasible.
Alright guys, we got the timer all sorted out now, so... No, this is the SNES version of Final Fantasy VI here. It's sort of glitchless, and it will come up later on in the run. And the reason why the sound is on the slower screen, guys, is just because I know that the Gramora actually gave me no sound. So that's why we had the sound over there. So, one thing we're going to notice is that there's certain points in this game where you have to talk to certain people to advance through the, stuff. So, like, on XCodes, it looks like you're supposed to go talk to Kefka, but you just go up and talk to the guard, and that actually progresses the story.
Now, here we have Figaro just becoming a castle-sized drill and going to burrow into the desert just to escape from Kefka and everything. And this little event will trigger our next battle with, well, 2 magic armors, and it will allow us to show just how much Edgar is to this run. Basically, during this encounter, you want to just have Edgar use auto crossbow both times. Also, you do not want to use magic, because that will set off a minute and a half or so cutscene.
One thing you can also do is you can actually use Lock to Steal during this point in time. And you could possibly get a potion or a tonic, so it can be helpful later on in the run for a few different things, which we'll explain when we get around to that.
Now, this current scene... Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. Basically, this current scene we have is basically Edgar and Locke saying to Terra that they need her help in order to fight the Empire because of her gift. And this leads us to the cave that we're going into.
Yeah, we go through this cave because there's a town on the other side of this cave that we need to get to, and a mountain that we're going to as well.
Now, this cave has encounters that we will take for experience. Not all encounters are ones we want. Like, the double hornet encounter are ones we will not be these guys will not be taking, because it's not worth the XP.
So once we finally get out of all these encounters and get through this cave, we stop by a town to do basically one thing that we need for this run. So once we get through the cave, it's a little bit of a long cave. We'll be buying an item called the Sprint Shoes.
The magic cutscene can happen up until the Mount Klotz. The flag basically cuts off there.
So we're gonna notice Edgar's crossbow is really, his auto crossbow is really amazing because it just hits everything on the screen. But if we get pincer attack, the only thing that's bad about it is that with pincer attacks, you either have to shoot off when you get pincer attacks, you have to shoot off one side or the other side. You can't shoot off both sides. So now, we get to see what the sprint shoes do, and they make our walking speed faster, which helps out immensely with this run.
But it also has a downside of making it so you might overstep by a tire or two when you're trying to do your routing and everything.
So, there's one other thing that's kind of funny in this, is that when we get the chocobo from here, it's just like, you want to get the chocobo, and you're just like, yes, and they're like, do you know how it works? Here, they'll tell you anyways. When we've already had a chocobo once in this run already, so that's the second chocobo we've had.
Now, in these encounters on Klotz, we want to run away from the brawlers since they are impossible to one-shot with Edgar's crossbow. And the rest of the encounters we want to take outside, unless it's Tuskers, but though even that, but the other crossbows still requires a magical hit in order to finish them off.
So, you'll notice that it looked like XCodes went a little bit out of the way there. It was to pick up an item called the Atlas Armlet, which we give to Edgar because it actually increases your attack damage by your attack power by 25%, which also goes to his auto crossbow as well.
Now, for those who are trying to get through this mountain and get their characters to their get Sabin, we need to get Locke to level 8, no, level 9, Edgar to level 10, and Terra to level 8. This will maximize Sabin to be at level 11 when we acquire him. At some point here, we will be seeing XCodes and later Gramora run away from a fight with Locke. Now, there's something to be said about running away. There's a hidden mechanic here with a bar for each character that is at different lengths. Locke, of course, has the shortest one due to him being a thief or treasure hunter, while a certain character down the road that we will get has the longest.
So we see Gramora here just grinding on everything, including the brawlers inside the cave here. Also, I just want to point out something that happened on XCode's side. Is he actually, during one of Edgar's turns, unequipped put the Mithril Pike on him and got the Mithril Blade to give to Locke. The reason why I do that is to give Locke some extra damage in the upcoming part of the game here. Mostly against the one boss fight we're coming up against.
Now on Gramora's side, you can see that Terra has been poisoned by Trillion. Due to the nature of in the game of how poison works, if you keep moving afterwards, the screen will become all blurry and you're not going to be able to see it. So that's why we have Terra get level 6, so she gets her antidote skill in order to be able to cure the party at this point. Makes for a much easier trip. It looks like XCodes has going for his level, like a little while longer to get his levels. He hasn't gotten them yet.
Yeah, he just needs to level on Terra here, so everyone else is the level they need to be except for Terra, which hopefully he'll get in this encounter here. No, one more. That's the reason why we would run away with Locke, is just so Terra would get more of the experience from this. Alright, so he's got his party up to the level he needs to have them up to, so he's going to go ahead and start Vargas here. So you're going to see that Vargas has 2 bears in front of him, and we need to actually kill off both those bears before we can even target Vargas at all. So we're going to be using auto crossbow to deal damage to both of them. And then we're going to move Locke up to the front row so he can deal more damage. Because in the back row you take less damage, but you don't deal as much physical damage. Whereas in the front row you'll deal more physical damage, but you'll take more physical damage as well. But basically, once the bears are done and everyone is all done, you just can hold down A basically and just push through the whole Vargas fight with just holding A.
Now at this point, we're going to get into a small cutscene with Sabin appearing here, and basically it's all about how Vargas is kind of angry because his father was going to choose Sabin, but not really, and Vargas killed his father, blah blah blah, and so he wants revenge on Sabin, and we get to this point in the battle where you have to do nothing but use the Blitz command Pummel to complete the battle. It should also be noted that no other skill will auto defeat him unless it's Pummel. So Suplex won't work, nor Aura Bolt.
So one thing that's really cool with Sabin's Blitz commands is basically it's kind of like fighting game commands. So like to do the Pummel command, it's left, right, left, and then you press A. So it's kind of a little quirk that he has with him, and he's got quite a few different ones. We're only going to get to see 3 of his different blitzes that we'll use in this run. One of them is going to be the most frequently used one, which you'll be seeing him use in a little while here.
It should also be noted that his blitzes are a combination of physical and magical damage as well.
Alright, so now XCodes is going to have a walk here, and we're going to go to the Returner's hideout now, who is against the Empire. And we're going to get to meet one of the most infuriating people on the river that we're going to be going to after. So there is actually a soft lock that can happen in this part here. Depending on where people are located and everything, they can actually block you.
Now we are into this long conversation chain of speaking to Bannon, and afterwards we will have to speak to our party members in order to continue on with the story, as well as collect a few items in the hideout.
Yeah, he only has 2 physical ones, but then he also has 2 heals as well they can use with his blitz. But we aren't going to see any of the stuff other than his first 3 blitz moves that he has. So we're going to go around and talk with everybody, and we're also going to go into the armory here, and we're going to grab a few things. We're going to grab the Phoenix Down, the Antidote, the True Knight, and the Air Lancet. So we're going to be using those all in the next scenario, basically. And one thing to note is when we come out here and talk to Bannon, we have to tell him no 3 times. What that will do for us is it will give us the Genji glove over getting the gauntlet, which the gauntlet is virtually useless, but for the Genji glove, it will allow Edgar to equip 2 weapons, which will be helpful during the Kefka fight.
As well as the upcoming boss fight in the river as well.
I guess it does help out with Ultros as well, yes.
If we did not say no 3 times, we would be stuck in this lengthy 1.5 or so cutscene, which we don't want. Which we don't want. And it's basically easier to us to say no, because it limits the amount of time we're wasting.
Yes, as Couch has pointed out, disappointing Bannon is fun because of the fact that he just disappoints us on the river anyways. Just payback for what's about to happen.
Now you can see from XCode's side, he is re-equipping and rearranging his party so that Sabin has sprint shoes and Edgar's in the front row now, and he moved Ben into the back row. This is due to the damage output from the river and due to us needing to get an extra level for Edgar later on in the next encounter.
Well, Bannon is also extremely squishy, and he doesn't like to run away either. So we want to put him in the back row just for safety down the river. And when we go down the river, we're going to get these options of which ways to go. We want to go left every time we get the chance to here.
Left is also the shortest route as well through the river from the first fork.
Yeah, you can see that XCodes is getting a ton of encounters, and this is why it's nice to do the river minute, because if you do the river minute, you only get 2 encounters, then the rest of the river you just flow down. This is the second run today, and there is 2 more coming up later on today as well. With the thing posted in chat right now, you can actually find out the whole schedule of the tournament and everything on that, so you'll know where they're being held, and you won't miss a match that way.
Now the second path, of course, we choose left, but if you choose to go up, you just loop back around infinitum.
So XCodes, I didn't see him fight any of the 2 Pterodon fights at all.
He had at least 2 of them, and he didn't take either.
And no save before Ultros either.
That might be a bit risky, but maybe he feels that it's worth the risk.
So one thing to know is if you die, you get a game over, but it reverts you to your last point you saved. So with heading towards Ultros here, Ultros can be a really dangerous fight, because if Bannon gets hit by Ultros, which he shouldn't, but it is possible, he could die, and if he dies, it's instantly game over, even if your other party members are alive.
And here is the Octopus Prince. Basically, Ultros has a heavy script to himself, and basically we would want to try to avoid a certain text box. So there's the possibility of text trying to weight tricking it in order to avoid it. It's pretty time sensitive and can be hard to do. And so here we are with the second part of the script, Terra's Fire. Whenever she does that, he retaliates with an ink jet to blind her. Down goes Terra, but
yeah,
the fight should be pretty much over here in a moment.
So when he says delicious morsel, he actually is going to attack with his tentacles, and yeah, he made it through that just fine. So Gramora with the save before Ultros, and honestly, it's a good thing, because if Ultros decides to, if you have a issue with the Ultros fight there, it could actually go south very quickly with Bannon dying, so.
Now we're seeing XCodes screen. We are now splitting up into 3 groups in order to do 3 separate stories, which we start with Sabins. Sabins is by far the longest, but it also yields one of the better items we need for the rest of the run.
So as we were saying, there's one character we don't rename, which is Shadow here. And the only reason why we don't rename him is just because he talks so scarcely throughout the run.
I think he says, what, 1 or 2 things at the falls before we lose him?
I think he says a few things in the camp as well, possibly. But it's not enough to take the time to remove his 5 letters. And especially with later on in the run. Because I don't think you really see him talk much past this point anyways.
Now, Shadow has a habit of leaving you if you are doing any of these. If you do continual fighting, so this is why we were running away. We need Shadow for the next part after the Imperial camp. XCodes with a reset, maybe didn't like the CD he was on?
I'm not sure, maybe he was hoping to get less encounters if you reset.
That's always possible.
But yeah, one cool mechanic with Shadow is he's got a dog with him. His name is Interceptor. And occasionally, he will block damage, and he will also, he will also,
You will counter.
Yeah, he'll also do a counter every once in a while, which is extremely powerful. That's one thing that was changed in this game from previous Final Fantasies, is that none of the bosses actually yield experience in this game. So we're gonna see, okay, I'm really confused with what, Gramora just did there. So now we've got Cyan on XCode's side, and we're going to actually change the battle speed up to 1 for this section of the game. Only for 3 fights. What we're going to do is we're going to use Sword Tech 2, which is called Retort, which will actually allow him to counter. And so we want to be able to have the enemy attack as soon as possible, and that's why we changed the battle speed up. As soon as he attacks, we'll counter it, and he's instantly dead.
The reason we don't change it back as soon as possible because of the next 2 coming small skirmishes where the speed doesn't exactly matter at all.
Basically, we want to try to hit Kefka as soon as possible, and with the faster battle speed, we can just get it out a little bit faster. Well, with the Kefka fights, he doesn't attack back, and there's no point in changing it down until we absolutely need to and do all of our equips.
It also should be noted that Kefka is by the game's programming a part of your party at that point as well.
Yeah, it's really weird. So I think Gramora might be running on the old strats for this. Because if I remember correctly, the Rizzo Pass skip was pretty newly found. And Kefka says a great line here when Savin jumps out and he's like, "Wait!" Kefka's response is, "Wait, do I look like a waiter?" And then he runs off every time.
Now, at this point, we will be seeing XCodes changing his battle speed back to 6, but also removing the armor from Shadow and giving it to Savin, who would be better, more useful than Shadow does.
Well, since we're going to be losing Shadow right away anyways, we don't really need him anymore, have to have his gear anymore, because we aren't going to use him after this point. And like I said, his dog can counter, and we get to see it on XCode's side there, where the dog just runs up and takes out the one soldier or the one Templar for us.
Hey, what does Kefka put in the water, Riku? Does it look like Kool-Aid or something else?
I don't know what that is. Looks pretty tasty, though.
Indeed.
Something purple.
Looks like... maybe it looks like the people of the castle are going to be going for this delicious treat. Wait, what's wrong with the people, Riku?
I think they're dying due to the poison that was put into the water.
Oh no. That scoundrel Kefka is.
Okay, we're all working towards getting our revenge on him. And so now we had to go check up on the king because we realized that, oh no, the king might drink this. So we got to run and check on him. So the king is dying, and he tells us basically to go check on our family, and so we go. And we're going to realize just how bad of a guy this Kefka person is. So we see that Cyan's wife and child are both dead here at this point. So he's gonna go into this blind rage now.
Now, these upcoming fights, we have no control over Cyan, and we want him to attack instead of using Dispatch, because Dispatch takes longer. should also be noted that if you do the wrong movements and get in front of Cyan to talk to him, you will be automatically hit and take damage outside the battle, and you have to move to go to the side to talk to him.
So for these fights, mostly just attacking them and getting through them. But the last fight has a little bit of extra enemies to deal with. It isn't just the soldiers in the last fight. We've also got the grunt sitting in the background. So we're going to see Abin uses Aura Bolt and just destroy him. Alright, so now Gramora is just starting equipping the sprint shoes, and looks like the black belt on Cyan that looked like he equipped there.
Yeah, it looks like he equipped it some time ago too. Now, in order to skip the camp, we are hijacking some great Magitech armor, so we can set this place on fire, as it were, and just get out of Dodge.
Yeah, we want to leave the camp and head on over to where are we trying to get to?
Phantom Forest.
Yes. So during these fights here, you have a little bit of a chance to do some inventory management if you would like to. Or you can just hold A, and you hold A to win with the Magitech armors and just use Fire Beam, and everything gets one shot. Alright, so we're trying to get back to Narshe with Sabin, and the only way to get back to Narshe is by taking the train through from the forest, in the Phantom Forest.
There are at least 2 different packs of monsters that we want to avoid in this forest. Basically, it's a 3-pack and a 5-pack of ghosts and Poplions, I believe they're named. This pack has the ability to cast slow or stop. Stop being, of course, the worst part, and that can just make you lose a lot of time if you guys have already ran away and the other one is just stuck there. This is the pack I was talking about.
Also, the ghosts can be pretty deadly because when they cast fire, it deals a lot of damage. Thankfully, XCodes has made it to the train here.
basically now we are on a hunting train with no way out, and we have to get to the front. So now starts the trip ahead, and basically during this entire section we can have ghosts get in our way of our path, and it just costs a lot of time and everything else.
Yeah, it's really not fun, especially because you have to constantly be moving around these ghosts in order to try to avoid them, and it's one of those things that can just lose you time if the ghosts aren't nice to you.
And it can also lose a lot of time on certain encounters. One encounter outside the train itself can really make you have a bad day if you don't get a preemptive on it.
My problem is that we can't. I don't know if XCodes has a mic or not on right now, so I can't really swap the audio to him because of that. Yes, there's a joke in the whole community here where during the Phantom Train you have to suplex it in order to make your run valid. So we get trapped by ghosts, but Sabin, with all of his awesome training that he's done, is able to jump across the trains here.
Carrying 2 other people with him at the very least, which must be tough on him. But now we have this really weird switch. It allows us to decouple the train cars behind us, so we get rid of the ghosts. But it also opens up the car ahead of us for some odd reason. And Gramora's just getting onto the train now. Now we picked up the earrings for Sabin for later to increase his damage, and as with XCodes, we are moving up and about above the train instead of going through it. This saves us roughly 30 steps or so in the long run per train car.
Alright, so when we get to the front train car, we have to flip 2 specific switches. We just shot the first and third one, and then we just talk to the train, and it will stop now. So Gramora with an unlucky pincer. The thing that's bad about pincer attacks is that you have to basically sit through them until you get one side cleared out, and then you can finally run away. Oh, and it looks like we aren't going to get a train suplex, guys.
Since Evil 2 can give you a variety of different status effects, Sabin being imped is kind of impossible to do that. So just going for the kill with the Phoenix down was the best bet.
Alright, there's still a second chance for a train suplex, guys. So now on XCode's side, we finally hit the morning cutscene. So for that, we've got some equips to do and everything, and the whole point of this is just to have Cyan realize that he's actually all alone in the world now. He's lost his entire family. He's the only one left. Super sad day.
Now with Sabin just staying there in the corner, this gives us a chance to re-equip Sabin with the True Knight and earrings for the waterfall battle. Plus, we organize our inventory a little bit to make it nicer and cleaner and ready for later.
Yeah, we're basically going to want two things easily accessible. We're going to want to have potions and Phoenix Downs up near the top of the inventory. And the reason why we want that is just because we are going to be using them for the next boss fight here. And right after it, so... Okay, so you'll notice the XCode's actually unequipped Cyan. It's because we need him to die in this cutscene here.
That, with what we're planning to be doing is skipping Rizzo Pass, and in order to do that, we need to kill Cyan and bring him back in order to utilize the Psycho Cyan glitch in order to cause that entire cascading effect with skipping the rest of the battle.
Sadly, Gramora got an evil 2 at the start of his fight here as well, so no suplexes on either side. So, on XCode's side, we killed off one of the piranhas. We're going to have to kill off Sabin now here. Or, sorry, Cyan here. We no longer want him around in our party.
Oh wait, we do. Look, he's coming back right now.
Yeah, we didn't need him alive right now. We need to bring him back, though. And this was what actually sets up the whole glitch here. So we're going to get to see a glorious suplex still. So we go to Sortek 2. Sabin decides he wants to suplex this piranha. And that's the boss right there. It's a pretty magical time. So now we got Gramora hitting the morning scene here. Same sad day for Cyan. And we get to meet the most important, well, one of the final member that we're going to use for the Kefka fight, Gao here.
Now, it's easier to just rename Gao since his name pops up so much in the texts with everything that we have to do. So, even though it's just 3 letters, it's easier just to rename him right off the bat.
So we just saw Gramora move his potions and Phoenix Downs up near the top, move things down that he's not going to be using at all anymore, like tonics and those shurikens that he bought.
Now, the Veld has a interesting quality with Gao, but we're not going to be using that. The only thing we want from this is to get Gao after we acquire some dried meat from the town. Now, Gao has a 5/8 chance of showing up after a battle, and sometimes you can get really lucky, or you could just wait for you could be spending 2-3 minutes looking for him at a time.
Also, there are some fights on the Veld that are unrunnable, so sometimes you actually get into a fight that you need to just wait out, basically. But it looks like Gramora forgot to unequip his Cyan here, so this fight is going to take a little bit longer because of that.
It doesn't look like he equipped the True Knight at all in the battle.
He sold off his True Knight earlier, so...
Oh, right. Oh, he misuses the Phoenix Down on Sabin. Ooh.
He's got extra ones, though. He bought some extra ones, so he'll be okay. And XCodes has his dried meat now, which we need to give to Gao in order to get him in our party. And he's got to fight off these encounters now until he finds him. There are some encounters that Gao will just straight up not show up on, and certain forms of encounters. XCodes is in first place right now. Oh, and it looks like Gramora's gonna have to do the Riza Pass fight normally now.
He did the old Psycho Saiyan strat. At least it worked for him. Gamora's now onto the Veld himself.
Yeah, like I said, I think Gramora's using older strats anyways, so we'll see some things from him that other runners aren't going to use, so.
Now, as you can see with XCodes, we're seeing a whole lot of battle texts that's here. We just press A and don't even bother mashing through all this. It also allows us to get through the next bit after this, which is introducing the Rage concept to us.
Also, guys, I need to see some Kappas in the chat right now. Since this is Twitch, and we got Kappa on the stream right now. Alright, so now all that, so now we're gonna hope that, XCodes is gonna be hoping for very few encounters on his way back to, or he's gonna be hoping for fewer encounters now just because he wants to get through this stuff as soon as possible.
Now the Serpent Trench here can have some very nasty encounters if you are very unlucky. And I believe we had one wipe today in there. Or was it yesterday?
I don't think I've seen anybody. It might have been today, the match earlier. I didn't catch that one, so.
Yeah, it was. I think it was today.
So once we get down into the water here, we're gonna have to take very specific ways through this, just because it's faster and just the way we want to go. So once we get in there, we're gonna want to go right first, and then left in the next one. We're gonna have a cave in between the two. So when we hit the first one, we gotta go right, and it's automatically gonna have the cursor defaulted to the right for the direction we go. So now Gramora's looking for his Gao here as well. Unlucky first encounter there. Right now XCodes is in the lead in the Serpent Trench. So this is one fight where you're gonna fight off all the enemies in this encounter because it's actually faster. But whenever you get pincer attack, Gao instantly can't show up. So he's gonna have to just keep on grinding for these encounters here.
Nor can Gao show up during a back attack either.
I don't think side attack either. So there's only way you can run into him is straight up from the very first thing.
Oh, and Gramora has him.
So the one thing that's bad about these encounters, especially with Cyan, is Cyan doesn't like to run away. Takes a very long time to get through. It looks like he finally made it into the town.
Now, while we're here, we are going to do a little shopping. Get at least 11 smoke bombs for later down the road for Locke and Terra's parties. This will allow us to go fast, but also make sure that we won't die in the process.
Alright, so we're done with Sabbath scenario here on XCode's side. Now we're going to do Locke's scenario. Locke's... I did tell you that it was XCodes that's in the lead right now. Yeah, XCodes has been in the lead basically the entire race. So for this scenario, we're going to actually have some fun with this one. We're going to just equip the sprint shoes onto Locke here. And we're going to do a little clip.
Now, we're back in the cave we passed through earlier, but something's different about this time. Very different. Well, two things actually. One, the monsters are more powerful, and two, the item boxes the treasure chests are changed to new items. So there's one particular item we want to collect in the upper left corner, which is the Thunder Rod. The Thunder Rod allows us to pretty much one-shot the next big boss that's coming our way.
There's one thing you can do right in the screen that XCodes is on right now, and that's that you can actually heal yourself before actually fighting the next boss here with the recovery spring that's just up to the north.
Some disembodied voice is speaking. Who can that be? But they're telling us what to do. Could it be our a new friend?
Well, we just destroyed the tunnel armor, which is a really fast and easy fight. Like, that fight is super quick. And that's Locke's scenario, basically, already completed. And we're going to meet the best Moogle ever in our party, General Kutan.
There's also something to be said about the Thunder Rods and the other rods. They ignore defense and this do massive amounts of damage because of that.
You pick up the Thunder Rod in one of the areas of the cave.
It's basically in the upper left corner, up a set of stairs, and to your right. And you go back down the stairs and up and out into the main cave, and go back out to the upper entrance and back down towards Recovery Spring, and that's pretty much it. You're welcome. Now, we are heading back into Narshe here in a moment. Problem is, we will not be able to go through the front gates because the guards are very, very paranoid and twitchy. So we are going back through this passage that we were told about much earlier in the run.
Yeah, that was the passage that Locke took us through right at the start of the game, basically, to save us. And we got Gramora going and picking up his items here. He's going to go buy himself the smoke bombs. So you fill up your inventory with those just so you can avoid them. XCodes is pretty far ahead right now, yeah.
Now we're coming up to this security checkpoint room, which is used for guard training. Basically, while it says we want to play tag with the light and follow its route, we are just going to go just bypass that and go straight ahead by holding A and tagging the light anyways, saving us some time and whatnot. Now, XCodes did not go down to see the Moggles. They don't necessarily need to do that because, while some people might want to grab the Rune Blade, it's not necessary. Though it will help out in the coming battle with Kefka if you do that.
So this clip that Gramora is trying to do is actually pretty tricky. You need to actually open up your menu, the space before you reach the edge of the screen. Gramora's just opening up his menu just a little bit too late to do the clip.
Now, with all three scenarios complete on XCode's side, we are now in this 3-minute cutscene where everyone's talking about what to do and whatnot, and along with everybody else being introduced to one another that has tagged along with Sabin or Locke.
The run is usually okay, so the clip that Gramora is trying to do, you can actually clip past that guard there that is walking downwards. You aren't supposed to be able to, but that's how we have Kutan in our party, when it's supposed to be Celeste that's in our party. It basically skips Locke's whole scenario.
Save around 10 minutes or so, I believe. But speaking of Kutan, XCodes has brought her with Locke, and now we are about to fight Kefka and his men. Now, the upcoming party, we do not want Kutan with us. Kutan has terrible stats. But we should also remind that's the base stats of the original Mogul that is in Celeste's slot. Because when we rename Celeste, we overwrite that Mogul's data.
Yeah, the trick with this clip is to actually try to open up your menu a little bit before the guard is there.
Now, the reason why we put our main attack party in the second slot is because you can just go straight down. You don't know moving left or right, not doing no other wacky movements, just going straight down. And the party is, of course, set to being the most battle ready or most DPS ready group there is. So it also allows us to take advantage of Sabin's Aura Bolt and whatnot.
Yeah, you just want to wait there, and then you just open up your menu when the guard is just about there. Alright, so we got a Kefka fight going on here.
So far, Kefka has not decided to poison us, and I believe that was turn 2 that just passed by.
Well, depending on how Kefka wants to be, he can still completely just kill off the entire party here. If you don't get quite enough damage, and he decides to use one of his magic abilities, he could completely wipe your party. Thankfully, we got the nicer of the ones. Alright, we have an official SRL time for XCodes being 1:32:57, so GG on the run, XCodes. Congrats on the win. And we will keep on streaming till the end of Gramora here. This is not the last run of the day, but this is the last run on RPG Limit Break for the night. There are still another 2 matches going on.
The other 2 matches are supposed to be on Scratch Dragon's channel, but at the moment he seems to be having some internet connectivity issues, I believe. I will check back on that for you. So yeah, once we get the smoke bombs, it makes all the running away really easy. I'm not sure yet. I want to kind of find out if, with preemptive strikes, if it's faster to run away or if it's faster to use a smoke bomb. There are 4 rounds to this to the opening of the tournament. It's 4 Swiss rounds. Then after that, we go into, I believe, the bracket stages.
Yeah, there's 4 rounds of Swiss, and how Swiss works. Well, Gramora is just walking over to the Kefka Fight right now. Is basically, so the first round everyone sits at 0 wins, 0 losses. After the first round, half the people in the tournament are going to have 1 win, 0 losses, and another half is going to have 0 wins and 1 loss. So anybody who has the 1 loss is going to be paired up against each other, and anybody who has the 1 wins is going to be paired up against each other. So when we go into the next round, anybody who has 2 wins is going to be paired up against each other, anybody who's 1 and 1 gets paired up against each other, and anyone who's 0 and 2 gets paired up against each other. And that just goes on until the end of the tournament, and we will be left with 16 competitors, I do believe, is what it says. But for more information on the tournament, guys, be sure to check out these documents here. The one gives you a little bit of information about the tournament and how it's going to be playing out, and the other one is going to give you the whole, all the information on the upcoming matches coming up for the next, for the whole tournament. Also, be sure to follow both the runners. Also, be sure to follow the commentators. Helps us out and everything, so yeah, be sure to do that if you guys want and everything. Let's go ahead and watch Gramora go ahead and get through the final area of this game. Yeah, I mean for this race, like this is the final area that we're ever gonna reach in this category. And basically what this is it's meant to be an introductory to Final Fantasy VI speedrunning, basically. So you get to learn part of the run. You don't get to learn the entire run, but you get to learn a good chunk of it. And if you enjoy it enough, it might push you over to try to learn more about it. And like, I know a lot of people who do these tournaments eventually pick up the games that they've ran in the tournaments, so it's really cool that it helps build the communities and everything, and, you know, even though you aren't in the tournament, you can still run this. It's definitely an easy category to run, and it's a lot of fun when you get into it.
It's definitely fun. It's, like you said, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is just for people to get a taste of, like, what it is to speedrun each of the games. Just like the Paladin tournament that happened almost a year ago now. It's a way for you to get into speedrunning, basically, with the Final Fantasy series. And it's really cool that we're hosting these to help out people with getting onto that and everything, so... And like, if you've been interested in speedrunning or anything, like, these are definitely good places to start.
I can see Gramora just safety saved, and considering how tough Kefka can be, I don't blame him for safety saving at all.
Yeah, Kefka, if you're unlucky, can actually really wreck your run and everything. But for anybody who's interested in like possibly picking up these games, like looking at the times on them, like you want to learn the sketch run, it's about 3.5 hours, and like there's lots of categories that you can run and everything. So yeah. Yes, and there is also the any percent category, which is a total meme, where you just basically die a bunch of times and you can warp around to the end and stuff, which is actually shorter than this category. It's the world record for it is 50 minutes right now, so.
Ooh, Gramora just hit the rider, which is roughly about a 30 or so second time loss, but at this point, he probably just wants to finish the run.
This is the Kefka Narshe category. I'm pretty sure that on the document for the Kefka Narshe stuff here, I'm pretty sure there is a whole guide on this as well. If you click on the right spots in it. Yeah, it's got a guide right there for you guys if you guys want to learn it. Like, I know, I'm sorry this happened. Alright, so we're on the Kefka Fight here. Exactly.
Ooh, a full Ice 2 strike. And Gao with the clutch win.
Wow. Nice. So that's the second clutch win we've seen in this. Alright, we got Gramora finishing with a official SRL time of 1:45.40. So GG to him. And yeah, thanks everyone for stopping in, and we are going to go ahead and cut stream here, but just before anybody leaves, just remember, be sure to follow these runners and the commentators here. Takes a lot, and it's all based off volunteer work, so it's really awesome that we can come in and help out here and everything. And I think that's about it. I'm good to see. Poexel, do you think we can give Scratch Dragon a host here and get these people all over to check out that other match? Yeah, we should be throwing a host over that way, hopefully. And yeah, you guys can catch the other two tournament matches. He's got a doubleheader coming on here. Right now it's Tar versus Valorcorn, and then after that it's Essentia 4 against who's Essentia 4 playing against tonight? Take a look here before we cut.
She's racing Kid of Seth.
Okay, Kid of Seth is who Essentia 4 is going to be racing. That will be at 8 o'clock tonight, it looks like. So yeah, we'll get you guys over there and have yourselves a good night, guys.